Party leadership, there are three candidates. They are Elizabeth May, David Chernushenko, and Jim Fannon. And most people are now thinking it is going to be Susan Delacourt one ballot, including you, because they have been delaying the announcement of this. And so we assume that since there isn't going to be a runoff, they want to get as much business in before they make the announcement.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much Mike Feinstein, the current speaker up there, the former mayor of Santa Monica, knows, but he actually predicted that in the future, the leaders of the Green parties, and all of them women, would be leading Mexico, the United States, and Canada. So there were big cheers around Elizabeth May's table when that happened.
But the real key to this ballot victory, and it isn't going to be Jim Fannon, but it is how big his vote is. If he gets a significant enough vote, that means they have to count his second choices, and then that would determine, because with only two candidates left, one of them would have to get 50%.
And both these candidates will tell you this has been a very, very tight race. It's made more difficult by the fact that they actually do like each other a lot, they respect each other a lot, and that once it happens all the time in politics, you see it in political parties. If you agree on basic policy, then you have to get personal.
Yeah.
And this has been about style. And although they do like each other, respect each other, they actually do have to talk about themselves, and they have to say why they would be better personally than the other one. And on one side, we have Elizabeth May, who promises to bring fame, flair, pizzazz, and we have David Chernushenko, who promises to bring the Green Party roots, to keep the party close to its organizational roots.
And why are we here today? Well, we are here today because the new electoral funding laws have provided the Green Party with a source of money it didn't have before, and it has been not hugely, but it has significantly been increasing its popular vote and getting more money from the public treasury. And we know we're going to have another federal election in the predictable future, and the Green Party could be a factor in it.
I was really in the established parties. We got these huge media kits with just about everything we'd need to know in it. Facts, the people here, there's been a small fleet of people willing to help us out, especially contrasted with the current Prime Minister's office. Definitely these people want to cultivate as good a reputation as they can with the media. They even joked you don't have to sign any list to get questions here. And I think if you just said you happen to need somebody to speak to, they were right there with you. So that all tells you that they have a lot more resources now, and that they're determined to make an impact.
And that's what makes the next leader so important, doesn't it? Because they have the resources they haven't had before. They have some policies that people are talking about, and the environment is certainly an issue for the other parties as well. So they have that kind of wind at their back. But leaders mean a lot. It is personal in politics, and most Canadians focus basically on the party leader. Rather, a few do on their own MP, but most on the party leader. That's why the leader's important.
Oh, and definitely in the next election campaign, we're going to see that the Liberals will have a newly minted leader. The Liberals have been talking a lot about the environment too. We see Mr. Ignatieff coming out with his environmental plan, including a carbon tax. I think no matter what the progressive or the alternative to the Conservative government thinks, the environment is the issue on which the Conservatives are weak. And so there's going to be, in many ways, a three-way fight, among the New Democrats, Liberals, and this party, and four-way in Quebec, to see who can best represent the environment.
Well, the Black Quebecois too, and in Quebec particularly, the environment is a big issue, and Kyoto is very popular. Kyoto being the gas CO2 reduction plan that Canada signed on to is nowhere near meeting the targets by 2012, but nonetheless, it has almost taken on a kind of iconic nature in that if you're for it or against it, it's sort of a defining issue, isn't it? Whether or not you even understand how it might work.
I think this is why we're going to see Mr. Harper moving so quickly with the Green Plan in early September, because the summer has not been kind to him in Quebec. Nick Nanos, the pollster, who presented all these findings here, also said the party is 9 points down, the Conservatives, over the summer with the Mideast war, the stand on the environment. Mr. Harper has actually some repair work to do in the fall, and a Green Plan is going to be part of it.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Because whether or not the Green Party, I mean, there's nobody from Quebec as a candidate here. Mr. Harris spoke pretty good French, certainly for someone not from Quebec, both speaking it and listening to it. I don't know about the other candidates, what level of French Elizabeth May, or I think she speaks French. And,
I haven't heard a whole lot. I haven't heard a whole lot of French here, except when the European Greens president spoke. But well, we're hearing it now a little bit. But basically, this has been a pretty English, and I have to say too, a pretty white convention. You know, you don't see a lot of visible minorities here. It's still, this party's got a lot of work to do on the diversity front. So. Which I think the candidates will say that they need to do.
We're still standing by for the results of the first ballot, and I want to get some news headlines in here. Are we ready to go with those yet, or can we? Okay, well, we are ready to go with them. So Jackie Perrin is standing by at the News Centre in Toronto. Jackie, why don't you update us on what's going on in the world?
Okay, thanks, Donna. This is CBC News. I'm Jackie Perrin. Here's what's making news right now.
We can relate, but it's a regrettable incident.
Canadian soldiers kill an Afghan police officer in an apparent case of friendly fire near Kandahar. Officers say a truck carrying policemen approached and ignored orders to stop. A short time later, Canadians were involved in a second friendly fire shooting in the same location. NASA has called off tomorrow's planned launch of the space shuttle Atlantis. A tropical storm is approaching and the forecast is for bad weather. The delay right now is for 24 hours. Canadian Steve McLean is one of the 6 astronauts on the mission. Canada's Green Party is holding its convention in Ottawa to choose a new leader. The party has never elected a member of parliament. The leading candidates are an environmental consultant and the former head of the Sierra Club. This is CBC News World, Canada's news network. Now we return to live coverage of the Green Party Leadership Convention in Ottawa, and here's Don Newman. Don?
Thank you, Jackie. And we are just about to tell you who is going to be the leader of the Green Party, because we think it is going to be a first ballot victory. And up on the stage now is Frank de Young. He is not speaking yet, but he's standing in the wings, ready to come out. And he's going to be the man, Susan Delacourt, apparently, who gives us the results, although we are now, more than half an hour behind where we thought we might hear.
Yeah, actually almost an hour, I think, which is going to push everything behind. One of the things that happened, too, was that they were supposed to announce the vote regionally. They're not. They're just announcing one big result. So I guess we're waiting for them to count up those 9,000 plus ballots, which is something the party's never had to deal with before, and rank the preferences as well. And certainly the sound out there, people are hoping that this is it.
Yes. Well, okay, let's go up to the podium and see where we are.
In fact, they said there wouldn't be enough time after they said, Chris, help us, you know, we're waiting for those results to come in. Now, it's funny, but in 2002 at the Montreal Convention, I had a speech worked up as the current leader of the party about things we could do to move ahead, and I had to live with the fact that we didn't have simultaneous translation. So I'd speak for a paragraph, and then a very nice lady would then translate. Well, we got halfway through, and everyone said, let's go to lunch. I have never finished that speech yet. And because I wasn't given any warning that I would have this opportunity, you're not going to hear it now either. In fact, it's been surpassed. Now, another thing I want to do, an opportunity, you know, I've been given a lot of time up here, but I haven't been able to say my own thing too much. But I have a resolution on the idea that we should be moving away from private car ownership, which, by the way, is a business that I'm in. And it was my proposal to come up with a Bonser ballot the way we did, and it passed without going to workshop. I didn't get a chance to speak to it. So all I can say now is the best idea I have to spend the last couple of minutes is that I would like to invite other Greens in this room and around Canada who are 60 plus to come and talk to me. We're going to get a group, and we're going to especially counterpoint the young people, because I think people our age regret the time they've spent not doing the good things they want to do, and they're worrying about their legacy. They're seeing their grandchildren come in, and I think that we have as much growth of our vote among people who never heard of a Green Party when they were making their political allegiances to come forward. Three years ago, when I was just stepping down, when I said, I know I don't want to run for the Green Party, I was diagnosed with cancer, a tumor in my throat. And so I feel very lucky, as a now official cancer survivor, to be here and still able to do good things and keep the old blood pouring around in my body. And I think that a lot of us around here who haven't even admitted that we're 60 plus know that we have a lot to do in this party. It's a very youthful party, but there's a very important role for us. So with that, thank you very much. And maybe we have something to say. Thank you.
All right, well, forget the seniors and the young people and the people in between. You might be really going somewhere. So they're still chanting now, the Chernushenko people, but I think now it must surely be, yes, this sounds as though it may in fact be. This is Frank de Jong again. So let us see, is this going to be, oh, we're just going to sit down and then he walks away from the way. Well, Susan, you and I have been sitting here for quite a while. I don't
I
take it this is the
testing their
moment.
discipline, yes.
They told me to tell everyone to sit down. So they say it's not easy being green. I was running in a by-election a year and a half ago, and I was campaigning. We were going outside a Walmart by Orangeville, and I was with a media person, and she told us that Peter MacKay and John Tory were campaigning in front of that Walmart this morning, and they got thrown out. So I thought, yes!
Thank you. Voici le grand moment que nous attendions avec
Here's the big moment that you've all been waiting for with impatience. All our volunteers were fantastic, and Jean is there with the
results. It's going to be showing up on the screen for you. So this is just as a suspense. So obviously we're going to let you know, keep you know whether it's going to be a man or a woman who's going to lead Canada with the Green Party. And what we've done is that we've provided the results.
All right, so we're going to get the results up on a screen. I'm not sure if we'll get them up on TV or we'll tell them to you. But
So this will be a very exciting moment, and I hope that all of us remain together after the new election and lead us into the next election and into Parliament.
so they're certainly talking like it is a one ballot after the new leader is elected.
Which means I was right.
Susan Delacourt, right again.
Okay, so the turnout was, and that's why it took us so long to process. We had over 3,297 ballots that were received, 11 spoiled. And those are the results right there, as you can see, which is really tremendous. I think since one of our key values is democratic grassroots participation, this is certainly a good sign for the party. So may we have the next slide, please? Here. Just so to refresh your memory, what was on the ballot. In order, David Chernushenko, Jim Fannon, Elizabeth May, and of course Nota, which is none of the above. So, may we have the first three numbers? There we go, the actual numbers.
particularly for 65% of the vote. That was really quite remarkable.
Yeah, it's pretty tight, but yes, Elizabeth May obviously pulled that vote out. That was a lot of ballots. There are 9,000 members of the party, but almost half of them actually went to the trouble of mailing in ballots. So, yeah, that's a strong mandate for her.
First ballot victory there is Elizabeth May. I think what we have next now is Jim Fannon will speak for a couple of moments. Then David Chernushenko will speak a little longer, and then we will get to hear
the 25-minute speech, yes, from her. And yeah, I think what you're going to see is a lot of graciousness right now. I think even yesterday when I was talking to the two of them, they talked about how much they liked each other. So I think that's what you're going to hear now.
Well, here is Jim Fannon. He is at the mic. He will speak very briefly. He was the third-place finisher in this race, and
less chanting and more voting for Fannon.
Well, let's listen to Jim Fannon.
So, my first concession speech. This is interesting. There's been a lot of firsts. I've never come to tears on the lectern either before, which I almost did talking about my parents last night. So, first of all, let me start off by saying congratulations, Elizabeth. The days ahead hold a lot of promise and a lot of hope, and I hope you listen, because we have a lot to say to you. Okay. And the campaign trail has been exhaustive. I feel like a rubber band that's been pulled far too tight, and yeah, I'm exhausted. I'm tired, and I'm tired of this party being divisive and not working together. I'm tired of us not following our own rules, and I'm ready to say, if you're in this for the long haul and you're ready to make a positive difference, then welcome. And then if you're in this for any other reason, political, well, we know there's not much of a financial one, or self-interests, please, there's many parties that we're glad to have you. So I want to start building this team to make this the greatest party it can be, the Green Party of Canada, the only global political party. But before we do that, I think we need to get our brooms out. We need to clean our house. We need to take our trash to the curb and move on with building a great Green Party. So thank you to everyone. And most of all, thank you to Elizabeth May, a person that was an absolute treat to work with this election, who supported me in running. That was very important to me. It didn't come from all sides of the party, but I appreciated it coming from her. It meant a great deal to me. And that makes me feel relevant. The vote totals are about ego. And so I stand before you today humbled and knowing that my participation in this debate, this conversation, has been a positive one, has been a one that it's been a conversation that wouldn't have happened without me here, and I am grateful for the opportunity, and everyone that I want to thank so much for. I've had hundreds of kind words after last night's speech. In fact, I got an email on my trio when I got back to the room last night. Talk about humbling. This gentleman said to me, I've never joined a political party in my life, and I saw you on TV last night and I joined your party. So, thank you. I don't want to out you on TV right now in case you haven't told your family that you've joined the Green Party. I know how tough that can be. I know what my dad said when I told him I was running for the Green Party of Canada. So thank you for the opportunity to make a difference this is what I do. I inspire powerful leadership everywhere I go. And so I want to thank you for that. And so I want to also say, David, you're awesome, and the conversation was important. You drove your agenda, which was important, and I couldn't be more proud of the way we all handled this leadership race. We had a lot of obstacles. We had a lot of last-minute decisions. That's another thing I'm tired of being a Green Party guy. We need to be prepared all the time on everything. We can do a better job at that. So David, thank you. I hope you stay with the party to build this into the best political party in the world. And again, congratulations to Elizabeth May. Thank you.
And that is Jim Fannon in his concession speech. Kind of an amusing little speech there where he had a few remarks, but also saying he is tired of the Green Party not being ready and not being prepared.
I was actually surprised at some of the things he was saying, too, about talking about taking the trash to the curb. It sounds like it was a bit of a bruising experience for him, the leadership. But, again, sort of graceful at the end.
Now here's David Chernushenko. He got 33.38% of the vote. 1,096 votes. To Elizabeth May's 65% or so. But Chernushenko, who has run twice for the party in Ottawa Centre, in the last election got more votes than any other Green Party candidate. They put a number of votes in many ridings of 308 in the country. He comes second in the leadership race. I think most people probably thought that is where he would come. But he is getting a nice round of applause from the entire room as he gets ready now to make his concession speech. And then after that, we'll be hearing from the winner, 65% of the first ballot, Elizabeth May. Three of those people voting for him. Here is David Chernushenko.
Or as we say, wow. I feel like a winner already. I am in the right room, aren't I? Thank you so much. You have no idea what you're missing. This is the best darn speech I'm never going to be able to give. But 2 years, 4 years, who knows? Right now, however, we are all one team again. Am I in danger of going over my 5 minutes, or do I get a little extra time? I do have to start out. I guess this is going to be my one big chance, so I absolutely have to start by thanking... Here, I'm going to break up on national television. By thanking my team. You're incredible. That was the most professional, fun, inspiring team campaign that I've ever had the pleasure to be part of. Thank you, all of you. Start going into names, it's never going to end. But I guess Jim set the precedent last night. So, my turn. Jeff Brownridge, campaign manager, you're amazing. I'm going to run the big risk of forgetting somebody when you start going down this name, so I'm just going to name off the people I see looking at me right now and beg forgiveness from all the others out there who did so much to help me, who I might forget. In the, I guess, meaning of time, please hold your applause and then give it really big after I go through the names. To James. Geez, I've been forgetting last names, even though I worked with you guys for 3 months. Yes, thank you. To James O'Grady, to Laurie Gadzala, to Anouk Kudeman, to Natalie, boy, I'm going to mush now. And everybody else out there, oh my God. Merci à ma femme, Marie-Odile, surtout. Merci à mes enfants. Mes enfants, Eric et Gaia, you're going to see a little more of me, maybe more than you might like, but there you go. The rules are the rules again in this house. I want to thank all the people who put on just such a fantastic, we're nowhere near the end of the convention here yet, but such a fantastic leadership race, to the Election Fairness Committee, to council members, to all the people who put on this incredible show and who showed the rest of the country what the Green Party is made of and what is coming to your doorstep starting tomorrow. What you're going to see is the party that believes in being the change you want to see. You're going to see the party that acknowledges something that is so darned obvious. You're going to see the One Planet Party that acknowledges, as we've heard already, that we live on one beautiful planet and we've got one chance in our lifetime to keep it healthy and now to work to regenerate it. You're going to see a party that has ideas on how to do that, that's going to offer solutions to you, and you're going to see a team that works together, that has got over its divisiveness, that is now ready to move forward as a team with all kinds of individual skills, ready to complement each other, with all kinds of different personalities and leadership styles that are ready to work together to bring you the next party moving into Parliament. You can choose more roads or more fresh water, more smog or less asthma victims. Canada, you have a clear choice. You can choose a brighter future. You can choose the Green Party. To every Canadian that is watching, to every Canadian that ought to be watching, and we'll learn about it tomorrow morning, you too can be the change you wish to see. Thank you, everyone.
David Chernushenko, second place finisher here at the Green Party Leadership Convention. Sounded as though he had a bit of a speech there in case he won, and he gave a bit of it. But the other interesting thing, he said, well, we're all one team, but maybe in 2 or 4 years, who knows? Which, didn't sound like we wanted to be one team too long.
The 2 years was a bit of a stopper. But what he was building up there to was obviously what the message they want out of this convention, no matter what we've been talking about, is They want to get on. They see an election on the horizon. They want into Parliament, and they think between now and whenever that is, that's incredibly possible.
Mesdames, j'ai l'honneur de vous présenter la nouvelle chef du parti du Canada.
Of Canada, Elizabeth May.
And there she is, 65% of the vote, Elizabeth May, in her first foray into partisan political politics. Certainly been involved in the Sierra Club as a national director and very political in that job, but here she is now, the first foray into partisan political politics. She is the national leader of the Green Party of Canada, and I predict Susan Delapart, we will notice her.
Yeah, I think we won't be able to not notice her. She has made this her career, is to get noticed. And she was telling me just before the vote, she doesn't care whether you don't like her or not. So,
well, here she is, Elizabeth May, the new leader.
I have a lot of people to thank and a speech to give, and I hope I'll be semi-coherent. My daughter said I shouldn't say this, but I can't resist. You know, it's my party, and I'll cry if I want to. So, I've been reflecting on the odd convergence of history. I realized the other day, some weeks ago actually, looking at the calendar, that this is actually the actual anniversary of my first attendance at a national political convention. It was 38 years ago today. I was 1 year younger than my daughter is now, and I was in a different country, almost on another planet, far, far away. It was the Democratic National Convention in Chicago in 1968. My mother was elected as a delegate for our hero and friend, Senator Eugene McCarthy, God rest his soul. And we went, because my mom thought it'd be a good lesson in democracy. Our candidate lost, the war in Vietnam went on, and we were tear-gassed. So what I want to say is this convention is way better. So I'm really happy my daughter's had a much better experience in seeing grassroots democracy at work. Before I start thanking people on my team, and I'm going to ask some of them to come up on stage, and then I'm going to have to ask others of you to stay where you are because there's not room. But I do want to start by expressing my deep gratitude and my thanks, first to our outgoing leader, Jim Harris. I hope it's not telling tales out of school, but the long road to this podium started when Jim Harris, during the blizzard in which the climate change groups in Montreal held the large rally during the climate convention, said, we should talk, and we should meet for a cup of coffee sometime. I want to particularly, after a very vigorous and important leadership race, thank those people who offered themselves to be Green Party leaders, exemplary human beings. I want to thank Jim Fannon, wherever you are, Jim, and Jim. And I want to thank my friend of many years, David Chernushenko. It was a really important race. David's team was serious and aggressive and did a great job. Hats off to everyone involved in this leadership race. So I'm going to thank and bring up on stage some of the people I just can't go on without at this moment. So, of course, I want to thank the person who first talked me into running, twisted my arm, one of my best friends for the last 2 decades, the leader of the British Columbia Green Party, Adrian Carr. And her husband, Paul George. Paul. You know, I love it when couples can handle transitions. For a long time, Adrienne Carr was Paul George's wife, and now Paul George is appropriately Adrienne Carr's husband. Come on up. All right. I want to get my daughter up here, but I figured if I called her up first, she'd have a fit. Victoria Kate. And my campaign was run on great mother-daughter teams. My campaign manager, Sharon Labchuk, and my indispensable campaign assistant, Camille Labchuk. Sharon is, of course, the leader of the Greens of Prince Edward Island. Before I move on to the rest of my team, some people who aren't in the room that I want to thank are the rest of my family in Cape Breton. My brother Jeffrey, my sister-in-law Rebecca Lynn, and my father. This will be the only Gaelic in the address, I promise. Hagul Akam Orsht Tapalet. I love you. And I want to also thank all my stepkids, and I'm going to go through them really fast. Sasha, Christy, Nadia, Gord, Joe, and Richard. Thank you for joining the Green Party. And I especially want to thank Joe MacArthur and Richard MacArthur, who together run a company called Junior Design that designed my website. That's my stepdaughter and her husband, and they're a great team. And they are really great designers and cheap. I want you guys to know about them. I want to bring up Catherine Johansson, who was part of my indispensable senior campaign management team. It may have been obvious to some of you. We didn't actually, Sharon took the title campaign manager because someone had to take it, but we actually were 4 women together running the campaign without anyone actually in charge. Adrienne, me, Catherine, and Sharon. We just did it all together. And we were all volunteers on the case, so that was a good model, I think. Yeah, I will pay some of you later, I suppose. Chris Bennett, my media guy, come on up. I'm just going to go fast now. Daryl Manning isn't here, but God bless him. Daryl Manning did a lot of stuff. Gordon Douglas, who's not here, who did a lot of volunteer work for me in Ottawa. Claude William Genet, est-ce que tu es là? Claude William, est-ce que tu es là maintenant, à ce moment? Claude William Genet, un de mes meilleurs amis dans le Parti Vert. And also my youth team. I want you to know, before I start bringing them up, that I believe firmly that this party is going to grow from the grassroots up, from the young people out and up. We need Green Party members in groups in every high school in Canada, in every university in Canada. We need them participating in democracy, we need them to vote, and we need them to vote Green, and they will. And my campaign benefited enormously from a decision made at the very beginning that with the campaign team that was national, there'd be a separate youth team. And that youth team includes the following people who are in the room and a few who aren't. So just let me get through this, but hold your applause for the youth team. But the ones in the room I have to thank: from British Columbia, Ben West; Darcy Higgins from Ontario; Jason Hammond from Ontario; Adam Summerfield from Montreal; and not in the room, British Columbia, Zoe Karen; Kingston, Tina Bailey; and Montreal, Annalisa Agneau. Merci beaucoup, j'aime beaucoup, j'aime tout le monde. Come on up, you guys. I want to thank also, who's not in the room because she had to go to family wedding, I have to thank my financial agent and dear friend, Mina Paravumba. And I'm going to go fast now. I need to thank, not in the room, also my honorary campaign chair and dear friend, Robert Bateman, and his wife, Birgit. My cross-Canada campaign team, come on up. The following people I know are in the room: from Calgary, Susan Stratton; from here in Ottawa, Colin Griffiths; and Ruth Edwards from Ottawa, and Gail Snuggs. Come on up. And now, I'm going to go fast with a bunch of other thank yous. So please, if you can, hold your applause, or if you don't want to, what the heck, what's a little chaos in the Green Party. I want to thank so many other people who helped across Canada, who offered their homes for parties and did other things to help me and offer their love and support, starting with Tara Cullis, with Robert and Elizabeth Shad, with Linda and Ted Mosquin, and supporters like Mickey and Rudy Hazy, Dorothy Cutting, Michael DePonsier, Margaret Atwood, Graham Gibson, Glenn and Mary Alice Davis. Couldn't have done it without all of your help and support. And the Toronto team, some of you are here, some of you aren't. Matt Day, Dan King, Kate Holloway, Haley Eastoe, great work. Nova Scotia, dear friends, Heather Scott, Tom Trappenberg, Chris Alders. Also, I'm so grateful to all of you. In Winnipeg, Alan Weinberg, and of course, Winnipeg, Catherine Johansson, Mike Nickerson and Donna Dillman. Everybody helped me so much. My dear friend Colleen McCrory, one of my best Green buddies who's not able to be here. And of course, an amazing team of drivers. Some really exciting trips. Number one, Rosemary, that's breaking the land speed record between Kingston and Toronto. And Constantine, who of course is running for chair of council and is also, if you know, delivering packages or candidates. He's equally good. And Peter Johnson from Edmonton, and lots of other people who helped me on the campaign trail. So I'm going to stop trying to thank people because it gets a little hopeless and actually move on to talking about what the Green Party needs to do. And if you guys can just stick around. Can you stick around? They'll stick around. Okay. This morning, one of my favorite shows, I shouldn't admit preferences, but I listened to CBC The House a lot. And this is the first time I can remember that it started with Kermit. And of course, the song, It's Not Easy Being Green. And they went on to say maybe it was going to become a little bit easier now. And I think... We have a job ahead of us to make it a lot easier to elect Green MPs and to see our policies in practice across Canada. We can do it, but it's going to be hard work. And I want to start by calling on everyone here to join with me to unite the party. We need the strength of David Chernushenko. We need the energy of Jim Fannon, and I will work with those people who ran for leadership to ensure we're the strongest possible national team well before the next election. But I'm also going to ask all of us as party members to think about, and it's been said often here, and I promise I plan to use this quote from Gandhi well before I heard it 4 times in the last hour, but I think it still needs to be said. When Gandhi said that we must be the change we want to see in the world, that means conducting ourselves in ways in which we want to be treated, loving each other, supporting each other. We will always disagree on issues. The other day I was listening to Bill Clinton speak on this. He said, you know, anytime a group of people doesn't disagree, it's if they check their brains at the door. Well, we're not that kind of crowd. But but my promise to you as leader is to set a tone of mutual respect, inclusiveness, and love that will keep the party together so that we keep our differences in a respectful tone of voice, and we unite and take on those who would deny our children a future with a vengeance. But we remember, we are all on the same side. We need to take on the issues. And I am so happy to be the leader of a party that this weekend, earlier today, I think, adopted overwhelmingly the resolution that I supported, put forward by Constantine, that the Government of Canada should give the 6-month notice to get out of NAFTA. I this and why it matters. It matters a lot. It will open the door to future negotiations. But what I've just witnessed in the over the dog days of summer was the Government of Canada signaling clearly to the U.S. administration that they never need take seriously a bilateral agreement with Canada again. If it's the detriment of an economic segment within the U.S. population, the U.S. government will feel impunity in ignoring any legally binding decision by a NAFTA arbitration panel, any decision they don't like from the World Trade Organization. The Government of Canada under Stephen Harper has just signaled, if you push us hard enough, we'll finally say uncle. And the So what we have in the policy the Green Party can put forward at this point is a recognition of the reality that those segments of NAFTA that protected Canadian industry can be ignored. Those sections which are to our detriment, like Chapter 11 investment provisions or the energy chapter, are never ignored. We must bring these issues forward, but also with sound alternatives. We're not burning bridges to trade. The General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade is there, the WTO is there, and a 6-month notice on NAFTA puts us on a good footing to negotiate a better deal. And I want to explain a better deal quickly, because Monica's been here talking about what happens in Europe. The reason there's a European Parliament is that the European Union is a trade bloc, could have been like NAFTA, but it's not like NAFTA. It didn't just derogate the powers of nation states and democratically elected governments. It created a new regional state level of government at the European Parliament. It directly elects people to the European Parliament, and it enforces that the highest possible standards environmentally and for labor rules are applied through the whole region. It's never been what NAFTA is, a one-way ratchet down on labor rights and the environment. We're not against trade. We're not against trade, but that trade must be fair and that trade must be carbon neutral. There are reasons to look at the intricacies of our global economic relationships and make sure that they are green. I also am very happy that at this convention we endorsed the Earth Charter. It's a document I helped write with an amazing group of people, including the woman who will be our host in Nairobi in 2007, Wangari Maathai, current Nobel Prize winner, and Mikhail Gorbachev and Morris Strong. But it's a document that resonates for people around the world, and I'm very happy that this convention endorsed it as our policy. I also want to note all the good work that went on at all the different workshops on healthcare and prevention and addressing the fact that this country and all of North America is in the midst of a cancer epidemic that nobody wants to talk about. And I want that we will talk about it. And I also want to address another aspect of what Mike said, where the Green Party of Canada can potentially help U.S. Greens. And one area, and people have accused me sometimes of bush bashing. Well, sometimes, you know, the low-hanging fruit, what are you going to do? But it's not motivated by any kind of malice. My mother, actually, I didn't thank my mom because she passed away, and she knows I thank her anyway because she's, you know, kind of here. So, but my mom was actually quite a good friend of George Bush's grandfather. I found lots of letters between them when I went through her effects after her death. Prescott Bush and my mom were pen pals like you wouldn't believe. And one of my best friends through school was George Bush's first cousin. It's not personal. It's not even moving into another country's domestic sphere to bash them for no reason. But the reality is that the policies of the U.S. president imperil our future here. And they do it in a number of ways. I'm just going to mention, I mentioned two. what we see right now is, I mentioned earlier yesterday, the risks of the nuclear non-proliferation treaties and nuclear disarmament being slowed. And one of the things that's starting to happen is reinvestment in nuclear arms. The U.S. nuclear budget for 2007 is $6.4 billion. This is a serious issue that we don't talk about. Meanwhile, the U.S. economic budgetary deficit is $2.4 trillion, and even the IMF is worried that they destabilize the global economy. We should address that issue as Greens. And we also, of course, are the party that must stand up and be counted and put forward the solutions that will give the lie to the one that's being repeated quite often these days, the big lie that Canada cannot meet its Kyoto targets. We must address it, we must prove them wrong, and we must demand that they meet their targets. You know, I don't ever want to disagree with Jim Harris. I think it would be a bad move. But I do, on one point, Michael Ignatieff didn't take a page from our policy book. He took some of the words, but there's not enough there to be called a program to meet Kyoto targets. We need to put it forward soon so that Canadians can read it and understand it and know that there are answers to the problems that face us and that we need not shirk our global responsibility to act to reduce greenhouse gases. There are other things I want to say about issues, but I think in the deference to time and energy and all of you in this room, I need to say a few things about leadership and promises I'll make to you. I promise to be available. I promise to listen. I meant what I said the other night. Comme chef du Parti Vert, je suis comme servante. I'm here to work for you. I'm here to be available for you. You are the Green Party. I also commit myself, as I did on the day when I made the announcement of my candidacy, to some profound moral commitments. As a politician, I do not believe that the ends can ever justify the means. I will not ever accept that power should trump principle. And I do believe that there's a level of partisanship that exceeds sense, and I will not go there. I will express the realities that other political leaders refuse to admit, that unlimited economic growth is, David Suzuki always said if he heard a politician say this, he'd be so happy. So David, I hope you're listening. Unlimited economic growth is the ideology of the cancer cell. Economic activity and prosperity are green. Economic activity and prosperity that is green supports and nurtures communities and families, doesn't leave them abandoned in a flood of cash, such as happened to the residents of Fort McMurray, who recently voted that they didn't want any more development until someone got them decent sewers, decent schools, and some doctors. This is the reality of sustainability. My analysis, sometimes a lot of reporters have asked me lately, why hasn't the Green Party elected a member of Parliament yet? My answer is, we will soon. But part of it is that a lot of people have voted Green to signal their disillusionment with the other parties, to say, I'm checking the Green Party candidate, I'm putting an X there because I want to say none of the above. And that's okay, that's good, we'll take that vote. But meantime, what we need to do is clearly build a message and a vision and a platform and a program, so when people go into the polls and they vote for the Green Party candidate in their riding, they're not voting for none of the above as much as they're voting for all of my dreams. This is the vision. On veut redonner la démocratie sa place au Canada. We can reawaken democracy. We can turn this world around. I invite you to join me. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for your support.
And that is Elizabeth May, the new leader of the Green Party, claiming her victory in Susan Delacourt. She knows how to make a speech, no doubt about that. We were saying that. You predicted the first round victory. You were right. Whether now she can follow through on the things she said she's going to do and make the Green Party an alternative, a pro-alternative rather than none of the above alternative, I'll have to wait and see.
I think one of the interesting things is you rarely see a new party leader speaking so much about specific policy and things that have been passed at the conventions, usually seen as suggestions. But we saw two big shots across the bow of the United States there, which was interesting, about NAFTA, which is softwood lumber, and nuclear weapons. So I think before the vote was announced, you said we'd be hearing from her. I think that's right. We're not going to have any choice.
Well, the NAFTA, we've come back to this 2 or 3 times in our broadcast. I think this is very interesting because it's really about softwood lumber. NAFTA is a lot bigger than softwood lumber, but it's about Canada-U.S. relations. And she says, well, if we put it on 6 months' notice, they'll want to negotiate a better deal. There's no particular evidence that that is true, but who knows? It would certainly be a big risk.
I was actually surprised to hear how strong she was on this, and this is one of the issues that the only issue in which she and Chernushenko were at odds. But she may be a little idealistic or naive, thinking the U.S. would renegotiate, but that message is going to strike some chords out there. The industry, as we know, wasn't that pleased with the deal, and there are people who believe that the Harper government capitulated to lumber interests in the United States.
Well, it's interesting you would bring that up because my feeling this summer is I've been talking to people, and we go around and see people we don't always see in our daily grind here on Parliament Hill. But there is really a feeling that maybe Harper is too close to the Americans, at least among some people. And it's not just softwood lumber, it's Afghanistan, it's his reaction in the Middle East. I think Canada-U.S. relations, and I would think that the parties watching this convention, the other parties, that is the thing they will pick up on and wonder, does it have legs, is it too risky to play with, and what Harper will do to try and counter.
And again, we talked about this earlier, especially in Quebec, that's an important issue, and we saw this in the Quebec media. La Presse ran a big comparison of George Bush and Stephen Harper as ideological allies, and that doesn't go over well in Quebec. And Quebec, for reasons that Harper has decided, is the crucial place for the next election. And there's going to be some retooling, but it looks like on the environment and on Canada-U.S. relations and where they merge, Elizabeth May is getting ready to hit this Conservative government.
Well, and even if she makes it a topic of debate, I mean, she said they're going to be in the House of Commons, who knows, we can't predict, but she will be a forceful figure in the debate, and if that becomes part of the debate, and if she's really starting to make some good yards with her arguments, well, the Liberals and the NDP will steal them right away anyway, so it'll be part of the debate whether she gets the credit or not.
A couple of the Green Party officials were out there, the party spokesmen were out there doing a scrum, and they said they didn't mind if the other parties stole their ideas, that they were here for this one planet thing. But I think Elizabeth May is a combative, interesting woman. She's feisty, and she doesn't go away easily. So I think it's going to be a very interesting fall.
Well, the Green Party has always argued that they should be in the TV debate because they run candidates in every riding, and the Bloc Québécois don't. The rule, though, is you have to have a member in the previous parliament to be in the debate. So I expect we'll be hearing that argument from her again, and I'm sure she'll be as forceful or more so than Jim Harris.
She may have a way of making herself heard over those debates, if I know Elizabeth May.
Well, that's right. She will be a part of the debate, and at least some of their agenda will be a part of the debate. Susan, it is always a pleasure to work with you, and today was a particular pleasure. And as usual, you were right again, one ballot victory, and I know you thought
it was wishful thinking
was going to win, and that indeed is what she has done. Elizabeth May is the new leader of the Green Party of Canada. She wins on the first ballot with 65% of the vote. That is our coverage from the Green Party leadership here at the Congress Centre in Ottawa. Thank you for being with us. It's been a very interesting convention, and we are going to hear more as the political season unfolds. So for all of us here at the CBC, thank you for watching us. I'm Don Newman. So long for now.